Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of the Fishing Teacher, and thanks for checking out the video. Always much appreciated. And guys, today's video we're going to be talking about the 5 things and 5 reasons that fish bite a lure. And it's not just because they're hungry, there's other aspects to it. So we're going to go over each particular aspect and give you guys some tips and advice on how you can use that to your benefit. I think it's going to add up to a lot more fish for y'all moving forward. Before we get started, guys, a couple quick housekeeping tips. I just want to invite everybody out there to swing by fishthemoment.com and check out our fall lake map breakdowns. These are great resources, guys, to learn more about any lake you fish in the country. It gives you a bunch of good spots. You can try it right off the bat and duplicate them yourself. And if any of the lake you fish is not on our website, which we have a ton of them on there, you can book a virtual lesson with me to go over any lake in the country. So I'll put all that information in the link in the description of this video. So much appreciated there. Okay, guys, I think it's a common myth that fish just bite because they're hungry. I think that one of the things that people, when they start out fishing, which, you know, we're trying to gear the fishing teacher to people that are starting out fishing, is they think that, well, fish just aren't hungry today, or they're just not biting today if they're not catching them, and they just sort of dismiss it as that. But guys, in my opinion, from what I've seen in my fishing, the reason a fish bites your lure, one of the least reasons a fish bites a lure is because they're hungry and they're actively feeding, unless you're fishing at night. I think that most fish, you know, doesn't matter what type of fish you're feeding, bass, crappie, you know, catfish, whatever. I think most of them are night feeders. They're nocturnal. I think there's more activity at night and they cruise and roam more, and I think that they do most of their active feeding at night. The reason that you catch them during the daytime is not because they're hungry a lot of time. It's other factors. It's factors like just out of instinct and reaction. For example, a game fish, specifically a bass, say for example, you're casting a lure by a stump, and that fish is sitting right next to the stump, and as that lure goes by the stump, a fish has just split second to decide whether to grab that lure or to let it pass by. And a lot of times, the faster you bring a lure past an object, the more apt you are to create that reaction strike, because it's instinctual for them to just try to grab it and you know, take an opportunity, you know, to get something to eat, even though they may not be hungry. That's one aspect. The next aspect is out of competition. A lot of times, fish school up in groups of, you know, 2, 3, 5, 10, 20, whatever. And if they see another fish having something to eat, or if they see a fish getting something, or whether it's a lure or whatever, a lot of times it creates this instinctual frenzy, and they'll start biting just out of competition because they don't want other fish to get a hold of it there. So it's almost like, you know, survival of the fittest type of a thing. That's one thing. Another different thing is curiosity. A lot of times, say for example, if you're fishing a topwater lure and you got that topwater lure just sitting on the surface and you're not moving it much, and then maybe you twitch a little bit like that, a lot of times that fish will come up like this and they'll study that topwater. That topwater will be sitting here and they'll just look at it and they'll swim around it and look at it like that, and it's just curiosity. And sometimes you can move that topwater and they'll come up and grab it like that, but that curiosity initially gets it. Sometimes it's out of anger. Say for example, you're fishing during the spawning season and you get too close to a bed where the fish is spawning. Sometimes, you know, they get mad that something is intruding on their bed or their territory, and they'll go up and bite it. Now, a lot of times out of anger, when you get a strike out of anger, you can tell this because sometimes the fish will hit the lure with their mouth shut. I think a lot of the times that you are reeling your lure through the water and you feel something that feels like a bite, I think a lot of times the fish come up and bump that lure with their mouth shut out of anger. So that's another different reaction, or another different, you know, aspect why fish hits a lure. But the main thing, guys, to remember is that fish don't actively feed all the time, so you don't have to gear your techniques to try to get something that like is some little edible tidbit to the fish. It's more important, in my opinion, if you want to generate a strike, it's more important to focus on 2 things. Number one is take advantage of that reaction or that instinct strike, and that's why your baits like crankbaits, spinnerbaits, topwater lures, swim baits, anything that's moving horizontal through the water column. That's why those are really good lures when the fish are active, because you're taking advantage of that reaction strike. And then in other situations, you need to take advantage of their curiosity, because say for example you're fishing a little tiny worm or a little tiny jig or something like that, and it looks really natural and really realistic. A lot of times the fish will go down and they'll look at that, and even though they may be hesitant because your jig does not look exactly like a crawdad, or it doesn't smell like a crawdad down there, so they know something's not right, but they're still curious about it. And a lot of times they will just grab it out of curiosity, because they're predators. So main thing is just try to take advantage of the mood and the personality of the fish. And if you just want to catch fish that are hungry and feeding, fish at night. Nighttime is the best time to go fishing most of the time anyway. You're going to catch, if you go out during the daytime on your favorite lake, unless the lake's muddy, say if you got a lake that has over 2 or 3 foot of clarity to it, if you go out and catch 10 fish during the daytime, if you go out to the same areas at nighttime, you're going to catch double that, and probably bigger ones too. So anyway, guys, hope it helps out. We'll talk later. See you.